So, Live and Let Die is a big letdown in terms of the movie. Um, Sorry about that little burp. Because in the book, you know, we have Mr. Big, which is big. Oh, another burp's coming up. Sorry about this. I've had a lot of gas in me these past few days, you know. Have a bit of a drink, you know. Mr. Big is the BIG, which stands for Bonaparte Ignace Galea. He's a French Haitian, uh, guy, and he's a African American organized crime kingpin. He has a Harlem nightclub, you know. And he has a fish selling business, which is a front down in Florida. But he's smuggling sunken pirate gold from Jamaica. You know, he's doing it to fund Smirch. Very bizarre because Smirch, of all things, you know, it's really weird. It's like Ian Fleming wanted to write about a story where he had villains that were black, black gangsters, because, you know, he wanted to write a story about that. But then he also had to follow up with Smirch from Casino Royale. So he said Mr. Big is smuggling the gold not to finance his own criminal operations and, you know, his African American organized crime web, you know, like, you know, the Kingpin in Spider-Man, Daredevil, you know. He's instead he's what is he doing? He's doing it for Smirch because he is a communist, a damn dirty communist, you know. But also he's into the voodoo, but it's not really voodoo. See, voodoo is a lot like maybe Islam, sort of, I guess. But voodoo is a very misrepresented little religion because of the cheeky Christian bats that want to tell lies. But their version of Islamic extremism is called hoodoo, and it's like the shitty off-brand voodoo. And hoodoo is what Mr. Big is up to with his cult, and he's just spreading trash that he is a zombie uh, because he has this disgusting grey skin caused by a heart condition. But then people say his heart doesn't beat anymore because he's a zombie, and that's why he's all grey and yuck. And he's a zombie, and so he's been taken possession of by Baron Samedi, who's the voodoo chief of the underworld, you know? And he likes to make people think that. And Felix Leiter comes back, CIA man from Casino Royale. And Mr. Big decides to feed him to a shark at his warehouse, but only like an arm and a leg, and let him live without, like that, like as less of a person. They, because they couldn't do something extreme like that to James Bond because he needs his arms and legs for more books to run around and stuff like that and smack people in the head and, shoot guns. So they did it to Felix Leiter, and it's very sad and quite cruel to Felix Leiter, But he gets, artificial limbs, and he works for a detective agency, but he can't be in the CIA anymore afterwards. Anyway, Bond goes down to Jamaica, and he goes and works with the MI6 man there, John Strangways, and John Strangways is working there. He's being helped by the local fisherman Quarrel, and they all get together to, find out about Mr. Big's boat, and the secret pirate treasure cove. And Bond goes scuba diving, and he gets attacked by giant octopuses and sharks and things. And I swear to God that the storyline for this book was stolen by Peter Benchley for his book The Deep in 1977. This book was published in 1954, and I swear to God The Deep was taken from it. I swear it. Anyhow, Bond puts a limpet mine on Mr. Big's ship, and then he goes and he surfaces inside the cove, and he gets captured, and then he gets keelhauled with Solitaire. Now, Solitaire is the love interest, and her mother and grandmother had been previously used up, all dried up like prunes, by Mr. Big, who's probably is supposed to be impossibly old. And the only way they can lose, they have psychic powers, which they can only lose by having their virginity taken away, like kryptonite almost. And they use the tarot cards to tell Mr. Big things and keep him, one step ahead of his enemies and stuff like that. But Bond takes Solitaire's virginity, and then, he takes her with him, and then Mr. Big's like, you're useless to me now. So he keelhauls Mr. Big keelhauls Bond and Solitaire. But then the limpet mine goes off and explodes the ship, and then you see the sharks and things ripping apart the henchmen, and Mr. Big gets like fucking bitten and ripped up on the head or something, and then it's swallowed alive. And it's really gruesome and pretty awesome, really. And then Bond recuperates from his injuries in Jamaica at Strangway's place, and then he's waiting to heal enough so that he can fuck again. And he's avenged himself against Smersh because they've lost like a huge fucking income for themselves from the gold, which is all at the bottom of the fucking ocean with the bits of body and shit like that inside sharks' tummies. And the novel is fairly racist, and it uses the N-word a couple of times, but it doesn't use the N-word like you would think it. It uses the N-word like as a descriptive term. For one of the chapters has the N-word in it, but and they say Negro and stuff like that, and Fleming talks about black people. He talks about them basically really normally. And Mr. Big says, black people have succeeded in almost all of the areas that white people have, except crime. And he sounds a lot like Goldfinger from, in the movie. And so it's like, it's really not so bad. Because back in the day, in the 50s, the N-word was, this was before the legal battle was won by Jackie Charles, and black people bought the copyrights to the word So now only they can use it, and if you use it, you have to pay them royalties, or you get beaten with a stick, put in a burlap sack and hung in a tree and beaten with a stick like a piñata. And that's about it. See, Jackie Charles, the lawyer in Seinfeld, he was actually just playing himself like Jerry Seinfeld was. He's a real lawyer, and he won that case. Anyhow, Live and Let Die is probably a pretty great Bond book. It has sneaky supernatural stuff in it, like Scooby-Doo, and there's pirate treasure and gold, and Smersh is shoved in there for whatever reason. And, there's sharks and things, and it's pretty great.